This tutorial will focus on working on an individual project in the Multifamily Customer Portal. Topics include project details, system information, project phases and phase checklists, project workbooks, supporting documentation, and project team. To log into the portal, go to mnhousing.force.com/multifamilyportal. Portal terminology will be highlighted throughout the tutorial. Refer to Appendix C in the Portal User Guide for the complete list of portal terms. A link to the user guide can be found on the bottom of the Projects tab. Note, in order to view and work on a project in the portal, you must have a user account and be assigned to the project. If you or your organization have not requested a portal user account yet, refer to the Setting Up or Changing User Accounts tutorial. Before watching this video, Minnesota Housing recommends you view the Getting Started, Activating Accounts, Logging In, and Navigating the Portal tutorial, and review portal terms and conditions. A project is an application for funding. It is identified by the M number. Each project has a page where customers can view and manage project-specific documentation and communication. To work on a particular project, go to the Projects tab and click on the project name in the Project Name column. We will now walk through each component of a project page. At the top of the page, you will see the project detail. It includes a brief description of the project, including address, funding round, D number, and the project numbers. Contact Minnesota Housing if any of the information displayed is incorrect or has changed since the project was created in the portal. System information. You will see the system information on various screens throughout the portal. This section can be ignored. Project phases. The project phases displays a checklist for each phase within a given funding round. Phases capture a self-contained process within the life of a project. Examples of phases are application, pre-construction due diligence, post-construction due diligence, carryover, and 8609. Project phases includes the following columns: project phase name, view checklist, opt-out, phase status, submitted by, submission date, and sort order. Click the project phase name for more details about the phase. To view a checklist, select the appropriate checklist by navigating to the View Checklist column and clicking on the checklist you wish to review. The opt-out field indicates that this phase does not apply to this particular project and was opted out of by either the customer or by Minnesota Housing on the customer's behalf. Phases that are commonly opted out of include pre-application, preliminary determination, carryover, or 8609. If the project does not include an allocation of housing tax credits from the agency, for example, Minnesota Housing will opt out of the tax credit phases on your behalf. Submitted by and submission date indicate who submitted a particular phase and the date it was submitted. Note that not all phases require a formal submission. A formal submission is required when all of the checklist items must be submitted at once prior to Minnesota Housing reviewing the required items as a whole. For example, a formal submission is required for the application, carryover, preliminary determination, and 8609 phases. The pre-construction and post-construction due diligence phases, in contrast, do not have a formal phase submission process. Minnesota Housing staff will review documents uploaded to these checklists and either request changes or approve the item as they become available. Sort order lists the order in which the project phases appear in the list. You can work on multiple phase checklists at once. For example, you can work on the pre-construction due diligence checklist and the carryover checklist simultaneously. At the bottom of the project phases section, click Show More or Go to List to expand the list of project phases. View the Managing Pre-Application Intent to Apply or Application checklist, manage the pre-construction and post-construction due diligence checklist, or Managing Housing Tax Credit checklist tutorials for more detail on how you will work in each project phase checklist. Project workbooks. In some funding rounds, such as the Consolidated Request for Proposals, the project workbook section of a project page only becomes visible after the project is selected for funding by Minnesota Housing's board. This tutorial assumes you can currently see the project workbook section of a project page. Customers should always upload the multifamily workbook to a phase checklist when it appears as a required checklist item, even if this section of a project page is visible. The project workbook section of a project page allows Minnesota Housing to store memorialized versions of a project workbook at various points in time. For example, Minnesota Housing will store the board selection/approval workbook after projects are selected for funding by Minnesota Housing's board. Memorialized workbooks are available for you to refer back to at a later date. There's also storage space to save workbook working versions so that Minnesota Housing can share their most current workbook with customers, and customers can share their most current workbook with Minnesota Housing staff. View the Sharing Project Workbooks tutorial for more details. Supporting documentation. Minnesota Housing will upload other files that are related to the project and are generated by Minnesota Housing in the Supporting Documents section of the portal. Examples of supporting documentation include the project launch agenda, reservation agreement, or the as-complete appraisal that Minnesota Housing orders on the customer's behalf. To view documents, click on the Document Shared with Customers in the Supporting Document column, and then navigate to the supporting document type that you wish to view. View the supporting documentation tutorial for more details. Project team. The project team lists all of the portal users assigned to view and work on the project. It includes the name of the individual, their role, organization, email, and phone number. For more information, check out our other tutorials. Find multifamily customer portal resources on the quick links at mnhousing.gov. This concludes the Working on an Individual Project tutorial. Contact mhfa.app@state.mn.us with questions.